What's going on, guys? Kick it off shortly. What's going on, guys? Let's kick it off. Yeah, some news today, 3 p.m. news. Let's jump on over to Forex Factory. Restricted news for sure. Was the ADP non-farm employment change? Didn't really do too much in terms of chart reaction. Didn't really do too much of an impact there. The 3 p.m. news, if we look at some of the FX pairs and I guess some of the stock markets, it kind of made a little bit of an impact. Jump on over here, see this here. A decent sized move, I guess, for a typical news event. Around 20 odd pips, not too bad, not too bad. And then the services PMI, it kind of, that's the one that kind of hit a little bit harder. And then looking forward, tomorrow, EU interest rates, 115. You guys want to be, you don't want to be in trades holding that for sure. I would highly advise against holding a trade through that news. It is a restricted news event. On most prop firm accounts, prop firm companies, it's a restricted event. For euro-related pairs, so I'd stay clear of that. And then, NFP, employment change on Friday, again, another news event, restricted news event, you'd want to stay out of 100%. These days, NFP makes a decent move, normally 50 plus pips. CPI tends to be a bit more of a market mover these days. The inflation rate tends to drive price in the desired direction typically. So looking forward, just be mindful of these key news events, interest rates, inflation rates, payrolls, non-farm payrolls. They can make a big impact and they can, for sure, open up spreads. And even if you were in a position, some of the lower time frame traders, if you are in a position, it can sort of wick you out and you can get slipped pretty hard, especially when you're, straight through to market. You can get slipped. And it will result in a larger loss than what you intended. So kicking things off here, S&P. Like I said, it was pulling back slightly. However, kind of during the night, we did go in and, we're forming some nice structure here, some nice bullish structure. Beforehand, the trend clearly, intraday trend was moving down, and if we just zoom out on a higher time frame, even more so than the 4 hour and the daily, like weekly, when we zoom out here, it's clearly bullish. And like I said at the start of the week, indexes, they want to push higher anyway. The intended direction is going to be bullish. It's going to be up. These are stock market indexes, so just something to be mindful of there. So even when we do shift bearish, just be cautious that we can continue that underlying bullish market structure anyway. And look, you can see here, I mean, these news events within this range here, liquidation event, and then it just takes off in the desired direction anyway, settles orders and then continues in the market direction. It's probably going to take out this high eventually. We might see mitigation. You know, some of you supply and demand traders, potentially you could be trading off this, and it might pull back a little bit. I've seen it time and time again, you know, stacks liquidity, pulls back slightly, and then liquidation, settles all the orders and then moves anyway. So yeah, something to be mindful there. And then if we're zooming in from an intraday point of view, yes, we shifted bullish there during the night. So that's interesting. Looking a bit deeper now, I was super busy. I couldn't make the 3 p.m. live. I was actually in a physio appointment, and it took longer than I intended. But that was a nice trade here if you wanted the risk to reward, especially in line with bullish market 4 hour, bullish market 15 minute. Funnily enough, there's actually 2 trades today on S&P. I took neither because I don't really trade the S&P in London session. As you can see, it kind of, for me, the S&P in London, it kind of just messes around a bit. Liquidation, and then New York's where the volume comes in. So I tend to hit it New York session for myself anyway. Be interesting to see what session you guys hit. Yeah, it's 2 nice trades. So if we're in line with bullish 4 hour, bullish underlying intraday market trend, you know, and then when we get 15 minute, like you can see here, clear signs. Shifts bearish. What's in a new high? Clear signs here of bullish 15 minute as well. So what we're seeing here, we're seeing some nice market structure. Simple as that. Trend is your friend, and we want to follow it. Simple as that. And then, you know, if you do trade the London session for the S&P or the NAS or the Wall Street, you know, then by all means, this was a fantastic trade. It's, like I said, seeing some nice alignment on the 15 minute and the 4 hour. So yeah, this entry here, inside session. And another tip, like I was mentioning at the start of the week, you know, stop loss position is a key factor here. It's a key factor in any trade. For example, if you're looking to long here, which many people did, say with a 10-point stop loss, it's irrelevant if you enter here. Just make sure your stop loss is in a key place or in a safe place. Like if you're entering here, like 10 points, it might look like a bit too much, but it makes sense. You know, you want to give it a bit of breathing room, just in case it trickles lower. Could have easily just trickled lower here, taking out some internal liquidity, and then powered through. So that was a nice trade. Probably would have closed out before the news anyway for like 1 to 1, 1 to 2. I think most people took that for, which is good. Very good, nice 1 to 2 trade. Like I said, I don't really hit S&P in London, so that's not for me. Good trade though for those people that did take it, so well done. 1 to 2. Then as we continue, let's just play this forward. You know, we're continuing London session, pushing higher, liquidation. Post 3 p.m. news event here. Post 3 p.m. news event. Now I said, talking about lower time frame traders, and for me, I don't really trade the 1 minute anymore, but it is useful for specific events. You know, specific events, definitely some of those post news events, you can use the 1 minute with a nice entry model. keep it simple and just trade it around those news events. That's super useful to know for those that do want to trade around the news. I've done it many times before, and it is very fruitful. This trade here, kind of a little bit annoyed that I missed this. This is a very good trade. I like the look of this. This is very good. But such is life, and we move on. So this here, nice liquidation inside session for myself. Big bullish entry candle there. The stop loss sizing, yeah, it's kind of a little bit bigger, but we're in line with the underlying market trend. We're in line bullish. So realistically, if you was targeting 1 to 2, 1 to 3, I'd go 1 to 3 on this anyway. And if you just zoom out, it does surpass this high. But what do we know? When we have large pools of liquidity, for example, like this is the peak high that the price made. This is the highest the S&P 500 has ever been. And then what happened previously when the other high got taken out, it just absolutely smashes through it anyway. So when you're with the underlying market sort of trend anyway, and we're starting to look to sort of settle all these orders resting here, it's probably likely to smash it anyway. So if you're in this trade, 1 to 2 is pretty good. I mean, 1 to 2 is probably to the high anyway, or just below it, yeah. So 1 to 2 would be good, but I'd rather go 1 to 3 if I was in the trade. And realistically, if it does come back down to this price point, like the 5.315, I will look to enter for sure. It's probably not going to do it anytime soon. Especially now, it's like nearly 6 p.m. in the UK, so yeah, it's probably not going to come down and come pick me up before it takes off anyway. So yeah, I won't be entering today, but if it did, that would be very, very nice. But I'll be looking for trades tomorrow for sure. Hopefully, I'm free in New York, so it'd be nice if we get an entry there. But for those that did take this, nice entry. I like it. Cool. So I mean, following is simple. Following market trends, knowing what the asset you're trading, knowing your data, knowing your sort of numbers, like any business, you will excel. This is simple stuff. Following market structure, market trends, entry inside session, stop loss in key places, not stupid places. Decent risk to reward. Simple as that. And this is probably going to hit 1 to 2 fairly easily. So there's 4% there pretty much. If you was at the charts and if you trade London. Very, very good. I like it. Probably going to remove this now, to be fair, because it's pushing higher. Yeah, I had an interesting question, about stop loss sizing, risk management. Like I said, you want to look left most of the time, but just look at the entry. Like look at this London entry here. Let's just look at it. Right. I'm entering here, for example. Like I'm not gonna have a stop loss that's 30 points. It just is. It looks ridiculous. If that makes sense, like. The low that we're printed in London, so the daily low, is printed here. So realistically, I don't need to have it like super extended. It's quite excessive, but also I don't need it to be like 4 points where it's to the point of super tight. Now this just happened to play out, but realistically, it's not always like that. So look left. S&P 10 points is only quite good, minimum. And just play it like that, A little bit of a pool here, nothing crazy. This was the main one. Low of the day, entry candle, inside session, and the rest is almost history. So yeah, just make sure the stop loss. Look key factors there: looking left and making sure it's of a good size relative to the asset you're trading. I mean, S&P happens to be 10 points for myself, but DAX, it's kind of a little bit different. It's probably minimum these days, minimum 50, probably. Talking about the DAX, actually, let's move on over to the DAX. That's actually quite a nice short. It was shaping up very, very nicely. Let's just pull it back a little bit. So we talked about potential entry here, and it would have been quite nice. I think a lot of people took profit here, 1 to 2, which is great. Like I said on the S&P, yes, it's following the 4-hour trend essentially, but you're going against the stock market indices, so 1 to 2 just makes sense in these scenarios. And also this trade here, it wasn't really such a clean liquidation or such a clean sort of entry event. I didn't really want to trade that. It wasn't really looking too good. However, come this morning, 8 o'clock, we see a nice entry candle here. And I was put off a little bit by the size of the thing. I mean, it was a little bit too big. Kind of stops up here. I think I had a 60-point stop loss, and then it started to print this sort of internal market structure, and I was liking that. I was liking the fact that okay, probably on a lower time frame, it was starting to shift to the downside and potentially take out all of this built up Asia liquidity. That's how I was framing this trade. In line with the 4-hour, in line with the 15-minute, we're getting subtle cues to take us lower. So I think I pretty much market ordered. I think it was like a 60-point stop loss, something like that. It's around here. Actually, I think it was after this. It was probably around here. 60-point stop loss. I was targeting the lows. It was just over 1 to 2. But yeah, it kind of tapped me in, messed around for a bit, and then just took off, took me out for a loss. I did do this at half risk. Half risk, definitely 0.5%. Just because it was shaping up quite nicely, but I didn't have full confidence in it. So I'd rather, in those situations, I want to be in the trade, but I'd rather just go in at half risk. And then it kind of just reversed anyway. And this is where we're at, we're putting a new 15-minute high here. Let's clean all this up. Pushing higher, and we had a little bit of another little sweep there. Nice short for those that did take it. I was waiting for to shift that would have been ideal, but obviously it's going to take a longer period of time to do that. So you notice that I like to wait. One of the key factors with trading, these days, just wait. If you don't feel confident, like the trade on DAX this morning, yes, I had confidence in it. There were some nice things lining up with it, but I wasn't fully confident. In that scenario, I'm just going to make a decision, say, look, okay, I'd rather be in this trade at half risk than not be in it at all. So I'm happy to open up 0.5% risk for the chance that I could get a win on this, because it had some nice factors for it. And likewise here, we kind of switch back bullish here on the 50 minutes. So I want to wait for the alignment. I want to wait for it to set up in a clean scenario that fits my checklist pretty much, fits my trade plan, and have confidence. Let's flick on over to gold, to be fair, actually. It's a little bit shame that we didn't take out these lows here. Like yesterday, you lower time frame traders, you probably would have got in. I mean, you might have got in here, which would have been quite nice in the lower time frame. And we did shift back bullish. I think it was just this afternoon. Yeah, it was. Shifted back bullish, which is kind of in line, like I said yesterday, with the underlying direction that gold wants to go with anyway. We're a little bit overextended here, so you'll probably know and see how it reacts over in Asia coming into London. Yeah, nothing crazy on gold for me. Like I said yesterday, it was a nice short, but it just didn't take out. It was stacking these lows, didn't take them out. Maybe for future price moves, we could see that. We could see future downside and really push below the 2300, maybe. Maybe. Oh, excuse me. If you did if you look at this here, post news event long, it is a rather large candle. I probably wouldn't take this on gold. Probably 1500 pips. And it's got a 1 to 2, 1 to 3. It's got to move quite a bit. So I mean, yeah, if you did take that, cool. I'd rather wait for a little bit of a lower stop loss on gold. It wasn't really that clean in terms of liquidation settlement, so I'd rather just wait. And it almost looks too clean to sort of get over the fact that there's potential for future price moves. Maybe push into 2364, something like that. 2364. Pick up some liquidity and then push it lower, maybe. Price levels are a key one, especially for the gold assets. Support and resistance, key price levels. Where it's been before, where it hasn't been before. Just key things to note for sure. Like I said, quite overextended here. Post news push. I mean, it could just drop from here, and then this inbuilt liquidity is going to fuel that future price move. But again, that remains to be seen. Anyone that did long gold, well done. That was a nice entry. I mean, even if you're on a lower time frame here, post news event. I mean, there's not really an entry until probably around 4 p.m. So you'd probably definitely be waiting. You're not going to be buying here, because there's no real direction. And like I said, the 1 minute chart it's great for these post news event sort of trades. There's even an entry here that I would 100% have taken if I was at the charts. On the lower time frames, but obviously not many people can trade the lower time frames, so it doesn't suit everyone. So yeah, make sure it suits your schedule. But if, for example, this particular entry is going to happen at least maybe 2 times a week, you can capitalize. Sorry, not 2 times a week, 2 times a month. You can capitalize on that for sure. I mean, why not? Max minimum stop loss for DAX. Like I said, DAX, minimum I'd go is 50, for sure. Minimum definitely 50. I don't want to go lower than that, and I don't really have a max. It's just got to make sense from a risk to reward point of view. Like this short here this morning, 60 point stop loss, it made sense because I could at least get a 1 to 2 here. If I've got 100 or 200 point stop loss, it's just not going to make sense. And it needs to make sense. Like this, the 15 minute is going to be my entry time frame of choice pretty much most of the time. I'd probably say 90% of the time. Yeah, this stop loss is covered up here, but from a risk to reward point of view, this just doesn't make sense. I'm not going to take this trade to risk 1% in the hope that I'll get 0.7 back. It's just not worth it. So, hope that answers that. DAX yesterday. Okay, the short here. Or I mean, I did see some people were going long on the DAX here, which is again fine. It's higher risk, so for sure, if you was long in DAX this morning, I'd definitely do that at 0.5% risk. Because we're yes, it's an indice. Yes, it's going to go up. We are kind of bearish on the 4 hour. We are bearish on the 50 minute. So. I mean, if you want to long DAX this morning, if you wanted to, then fine. But yeah, just err on the side of caution, and half that risk or even quarter, you'd still be exposed. The potential that it could just take you out anyway. That's why it's important to know where you're at, where you come from, where the market is sort of trending. Hey guys, how's it going? Got your entry lower. Yeah, I assume you're on about the gold, what we talked about on gold. Lower by, I can imagine you probably mean the New York trade this morning, this afternoon post news event, like somewhere around here. Which is, yeah. I mean, I'm not going to be trading the entry if it's like down here. I'd rather wait for market shifts and then the entry model to present itself. Yeah, if you got it lower, cool. That's also cool. Current trading when CBDCs are introduced. You know, if that happens, we'll just wait and see. You know, we could predict loads of things to happen, but there's kind of no point. I'd rather focus on actually trading what we've got in front of us. The amazing opportunities we've got in front of us today is ridiculous. Even if I look back 5 years, it's nowhere near as what we've got now. So, yeah, for sure, we'll just wait and see. Giveaway, well, like a top Monday giveaway. Probably not this year. We'll be doing top funding giveaways for a while. So yeah, like gold, like I said, bit of extension here. Could see a little bit of a pullback. And we do have the liquidity to fuel that sort of pullback anyway. If it's really started this bullish market, it's probably going to pull back a little bit, mitigation, and then continue higher anyway. So we'll see. So have a look at S&P, see what's going on. Yeah, it's still just pushing higher. No entry point yet. Wonder if you guys got in on a lower time frame entry. Maybe. I wouldn't have entered yet. Post news event. Right, good stuff. I covered pretty much everything I wanted to cover. The DAX short this morning, which was a loss. S&P, post news, and then gold. Yeah, EU, nothing. I mean, I'm not even going to look at EU. I mean, I have a watch list, but I don't think I've actually traded it in a while. Yeah, it's kind of very range bound. We can leave that for now and focus on these indices and trending assets for sure. So I think I'll end it there, guys. It's been great chatting. As always, I'll be back 3 p.m. tomorrow. A little bit later today because, yeah, just a physio appointment. So, yeah, thanks.